Welcome to Caching Waves. It's good to be back. Now, this is the last video I posted for Bitcoin back on March 24th. Now, since then, I've been off traveling a little bit. I went to Toronto, also went to Las Vegas, met up with a friend I haven't seen for a long time, but it is good to be back. Now, if you followed along my last video, nothing took you by surprise as to what we got over the last couple weeks. We had a few different options. We were looking for either running flat in red, looking for a triangle in orange, or this white count where we just collapse down, look to either pierce through this red area of support at 59,005, take out those stops and then recover quickly, or just break below the A wave and protect that area of support at 59,005. So we are right in that zone now. It just looks like we extended out our B wave. I've always talked about how B waves can be frustrating because they can just extend, and then come down. But it looks like we're on the right path there, and we are now going to update the count on the current chart. Now, out on the daily here, there's a couple things I do need to discuss about alternatives, but as of right now, looking for this fourth to either be complete or get one more low and then move to the upside. Big thing I'm paying attention to here is time. Don't want to take too much more time here within the sideways consolidation. Otherwise, I would probably relabel this as our third over here. One pivot back. So kind of need something to happen within the next week or two to keep this count intact. Okay, so our range for our fifth wave here in green is pretty wide. My ideal target there, which would be on linear scale, which is just at the 1.618 in green of our wave 1 and 2 in green. It's on linear scale at 77,500. And that would take us to the 1.618 in blue right above at 76,625, as you can see. Now there's going to be some information that's going to be difficult to discern which count is accurate, and I'll go into that. But as for right now, that's my minimum target there to consider a fifth wave complete, like so, before we get a larger sideways consolidation for our fourth in blue, and then our eventual fifth to the upside. So just wanted to make that clear what we're expecting. This can go higher, this can just reject right up there, go sideways, but we really want these areas behind us here in the previous trend to hold as support to keep all this intact. Now, one thing I'm considering, and I just want to make you guys aware of this, is if we actually start to break down past the 382, which is our common target for our fourth wave at 57,578 on log scale, if we fail to recover from that area and we just come up in an ABC and we start to come down again, like so, up to between 48,646 and about 57,000 in that zone, but we extend out in time, I would actually relabel this, like I mentioned, our third wave over here. And I don't love the count, but I just want to make you guys aware of that. And what I would do is move our wave 2 over here, one pivot back, because this was a 5-wave move here. If you go back, I have this as an expanded flat as a B wave. But if it's not a B wave, and that is actually our wave 2, we didn't invalidate a wave 2, although we pretty much did. That's why my primary is the wave 2 over here. We did not make a new low here. So if we extend out in time and drop more, I would consider this our third wave, like so, in 5 waves. As you can see, it just came shy of the 1.618 on log scale in blue for the third. And if that's the case, we would expect an extension for our fifth. We expect one of our waves to get extended, right? So that's if we don't recover from here, we make an ABC and we make one more move down. Now in time, if our wave 2 ends up being over here, we can get extended out a little bit. Probably end up dropping a little quicker than I've drawn out here. Be something like this, and then we recover. Difference being how high our targets are going to go, right? Obviously, if we get our fifth wave up here and complete our third, we have much higher targets for our fifth. If we come down and respect this 236 and 382 of this entire move up, then I would have to relabel, and I would only expect one more 5-wave move to the upside. All right, so getting that out of the way, we're going to zoom into this area here for our fourth wave. Oh, one more thing I wanted to talk about here is our RSI. We're working on a daily time frame for our RSI. We might get one more push down. I want to see us hold above the 40 on the daily for our RSI, and right between the zone we are at right now, the 40 and the 50. If we drop much lower than that, again, I would have to relabel this for our fourth wave over here, and then I'd expect us to come up in some sort of running flat. So we're getting very close to the area where we want to see a pivot before this entire thing becomes a larger correction. Okay, we're going to go down to the, also adding on to that, if we pivot here on our RSI, make one more low potentially, come up for our fifth, we also want to see divergence between this third and the fifth before we come down and make this larger fourth. So just extra things to pay attention to. You know, I don't use RSI that much, except for very important areas. I think people overuse it, and they end up really messing up with their entire strategy by overusing it. Every time they see divergence, they think it's a pivot. All right. So we're looking for our fourth wave to complete. Have a couple different counts. A lot of the ones we had previous, I have us as potentially just getting bigger. So the one I'd like to see just for time frame to keep our time fib in line. Again, just a guideline, not a rule, but you know, I like to keep my time fibs in line. I don't like to see this extend out too much. Is I either want to see a bottom in from here as either a larger A wave making a flat, or I'd like to see one more low, either protect this previous pivot at 59,005 that we talked about previously, come to the one-to-one extension. If we take our W off our X for our Y, our one-to-one is at 59,968. So if we can just push down here, protect this low ideally at 59,005 and recover quickly and see a nice little 5-wave move down at, say, the 15-minute, look for a long and go. That's where I'd be interested in a long trade to the upside. So that's ideal, what I want to happen. There can be technically a low in now, although not high probability that a low is in because this looks like a 3-wave to me. So I'd ideally just want to see one more move down here, complete our Y wave, and move to the upside. So we'll see if we get that. If we do break this low, I just want to see a very quick recovery. Ideally stay above that 382 at 57,578 for our fourth wave. And if we come much lower than that, that's where I reevaluate and consider this maybe the fifth wave of our third already complete. How I mentioned, if we come up and end up dragging out, that's where I would relabel that. But as of right now, a lot of options going on. I'll show you my alternatives. A few different paths I'm considering. If we move up from here and don't make a new low, break the 618 of the move to the downside, which you can see labeled in red at 68,461. If we start coming up here correctively, my alternatives are similar to the last video on March 24th. We just get extended out a little bit. Just this wave, B wave comes bigger. We'd be looking for a running flat here, then continuation. Or we have a WXY here for an A wave in a triangle where we just extend out. Right now I just have this labeled as a barrier triangle, but this obviously can change shape. That's just for, don't consider that any sort of expectation. I just have that as placeholders right now, so I'm aware of the pattern. So we'll see what happens here. Great spot in my opinion, not financial advice, to buy for long-term holds, but not really for day trading at the moment on the micro time frames. But great spot to buy for long-term. So we'll see if we end up getting this third wave over here, complete, fourth over here, or we recover from here, which is ideally what I'd like to see. Now going down on the 1 hour, how we would expect to move up correctively and protect this previous low. As you can see, it's pretty clearly a 3 wave, ABC with a diagonal. How we would end up moving correctively is this would either be a wave 1 in a diagonal, and we could actually be starting a 5th wave, and that would be our larger wave 1 and 2 after we get a series of ABCs. Or another way we would recover is if we make some sort of flat here. This becomes a 3-3-3, come back, 3-3-3, up we go. Come up to our B zone in the larger time frame in blue. We would end up rejecting between our B zone there at 1.236, 1.382 extension of this A wave down. And we'd look for between a 618 and a 1-to-1 extension once that fills out. So end up getting a move like this, and then we move to the upside. So a lot of options. So my suggestion is to be patient unless you're buying for the long term and you're okay with a little more drawdown to the downside. I would be interested in this once we make some sort of completed correction here. Because right now I'm considering this a wave 1 in a diagonal or an A wave. And that's the way we would move to the upside, look for a sideways consolidation here over the next day or two, then enter my long, stop at this low. So I need more information, see how these candles fill out. And if we come lower, then we have our ABC. Look for a 3-wave move here to the downside to complete our Y wave, and look for the 1-to-1 extension on the larger view of this W wave for our Y wave at 59,968. So as you can see, there's a lot happening here. This would be ideal for me. I'd be very confident on this one. Look for the 1-to-1 target, or just taking out these stops at this previous area here, right below this candle, quick recovery. And I'd look for a micro 5-wave move to the upside, buy or pull back, stop at the low, something like that, going for all-time highs. All right, I hope that wasn't too complicating. As you can see in these areas, there's a lot of options, but the good thing is I do not see a top in. This X wave came very, very high in our WXY, so most likely a flat. The issue is, do we have the top in yet, or are we going to move correctively to the upside, make a B and a C, or make some sort of triangle? But in all these scenarios, the trend is up, as you can see. But it would be difficult to trade these on the micro time frame for scalps at the moment. If I were buying this for the long term, I'd just be DCAing at all these levels, personally. All right, guys, so it's good to be back. I hope this was helpful. Looking for a few different things. Again, either straight down from here, hit the 1-to-1, look for a recovery. I don't just enter those. Or if we make some sort of sideways correction here, I would probably take this trade right here, stop at this low, and expect this to move correctively in 3s for a B wave, potentially take profit here and look to long the C wave. Or alternatively, this longer drawn out triangle, which I think is least likely because that would extend too far in time in my view to consider this a fourth wave the way it's currently labeled. That's where I would suggest that this third wave is actually over here. All right, guys, so I'll make sure to update this. I am back home now, so you should expect more frequent updates on all of these, but Bitcoin is looking good. Did exactly as we expected. Long drawn out correction for our fourth wave. I mean, I've been gone for two and a half, 3 weeks and did exactly as we expected. So I haven't missed pretty much anything. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.